The last day of the village in the shadow of the volcano. The sun was rising over Pompeii. Golden light struck the white stone houses. August 24th, AD 79. An ordinary morning, a normal day. No one knew this would be the last day. Mount Vesuvius stood in the distance, silent, imposing. It rose above the city like a giant shadow, but no one looked at it, because it was always there, for centuries, just a mountain. But it was not. It was a sleeping monster, and it was about to awaken. Lucius Caecilius Jucundus rose early that morning. He was 45 years old, a wealthy banker. His villa was in the north of the city, beautiful, spacious, decorated with mosaics. He got out of bed, walked to the window, looked outside. A beautiful morning. The sky was clear, the air was warm, a perfect day. "Dominus," said his slave Marcus, "your breakfast is ready." "Thank you, Marcus, I'm coming." He went down to the atrium, the inner courtyard of the house. The pool shimmered in the center. Columns surrounded the space, frescoes on the walls, colorful, vivid. His wife, Metella, was sitting there. Their son, Quintus, was beside her, 16 years old, an excited young man. "Good morning, Pater," said Quintus. "Good morning, my son. Did you sleep well?" "Yes, but I had a strange dream." "What kind of dream?" "The mountain, Vesuvius. It was speaking, shouting, and then fire everywhere." Lucius laughed. "Just a dream, my son. Don't worry." But Metella was worried, because she too had felt strange. She had slept restlessly all night. She didn't know why, but something was wrong. "Lucius," said Metella, "maybe we should stay home today." "Why? The weather is wonderful. I need to go to the forum. I have business." "I don't know, just a bad feeling." Lucius held her hand. "Everything is fine, my love. Just an ordinary day." But it was not. Pompeii was waking up, slowly, lazily. The streets began to fill. People came out of their houses. Shops opened. Life began. The forum, the heart of the city, was coming alive. A large square, temples around it, government buildings, banks, the market. Merchants were setting up their stalls. Fish, fruit, vegetables, olives, wine. Everything was there. "Fresh fish, caught this morning." "Olives, the best. Taste them." "Wine, Falernum, the best of Campania." Shouts, laughter, bargaining. A normal Pompeii morning. Lucius walked to the forum. His toga was white, the sign of a Roman citizen. Marcus was beside him, his slave, his assistant. He entered the basilica, the business building. Bankers, merchants, lawyers were there. Money, deals, contracts. "Salve, Lucius," said a friend. "How are you today?" "I'm well, Gaius, and you?" "Great! I made a big deal yesterday. Wheat from Egypt, very profitable." "Congratulations!" They talked, they laughed, they made plans, they spoke about the future. But there was no future. The Thermopolium, ancient fast food, was open. Publius Vettius Rufus was having breakfast there. Hot food, wine, bread. "Good morning, Publius," said the owner, Stephanus. "Good morning, my friend. The usual, please." "Of course. Coming right up." Publius was 30 years old, a tradesman, a potter. His workshop was nearby. He made pots, vases, amphorae. Today he had a large order. A wealthy man, Marcus Holconius, wanted vases for his new villa. He would pay well. Publius was excited. With this money, maybe he could marry. There was a girl he loved, TThe, beautiful, kind, but from a poor family. A dowry was needed. "Today is an important day," said Stephanus as he brought the food. "Yes, the Holconius order. If he likes it, I'll be rich." "I hope he does, my friend." "So do I. I worked hard." And he ate, quickly, because he needed to start work. But he would never finish that work. The amphitheater, the arena, was quiet in the mornings. But in the afternoon, there would be gladiator fights. The crowd would come, thousands of people. Titus Attius Amphiro, a gladiator, was training. Sword, shield, again, again, again. He was 28 years old, strong. He had fought 40 times. He had won 36, 4 defeats, but he had survived. He was lucky. Today, there was a new opponent, a young man, his first fight, inexperienced. "It will be easy," said his trainer Salvius. "I hope so. I'm tired." "You're a champion, Titus. You will win. You always win." Titus smiled, but inside there was fear, because every gladiator knew one day he would lose, one day he would die. But today, no. Today would be easy. Or so he thought, because today no one would die in the arena. A much greater death was coming. The sun rose higher, higher. It reached its peak. It was hot. Late July, early August. Pompeii was hot in this season, but people were used to it. The baths, the thermae, were full. Men, women, separate sections, washing, relaxing, chatting. The caldarium, the hot pool, steam was rising. People were swimming, talking. "Did you hear?" said someone. "Emperor Titus has a new law." "What law?" "Taxes are going to increase." "Again? They always increase." "Rome wants to be rich. We pay." Murmurs, but not out loud, because rebellion was dangerous. Rome was ruthless. In a corner, an old man, Sextus Pompeius, sat quietly. He was 80 years old. He had spent his entire life in Pompeii. A young man asked, "Grandfather Sextus, what was Pompeii like when you were a child?" Sextus smiled. Memories came back. It was different, smaller, slower, but beautiful, always beautiful. Did it change a lot? Everything changes, my son. People, buildings, cities. Only the mountain does not change. He pointed to Vesuvius. It was visible through the window. The mountain is always there, always the same, eternal. But he was wrong. The mountain was about to change completely. Lucius returned home for lunch. It was Roman tradition, midday meal, rest. Metella had prepared it. Bread, cheese, olives, wine. "How was your morning?" she asked. "Good. I signed a contract. A merchant from Naples. Good profit." "That's good." Quintus was with them. He was quiet, distracted. "What are you thinking about, my son?" Lucius asked. My dream, it's still in my mind. Forget it, just a dream. But it felt very real. Metella intervened. Maybe it was a sign. A sign? The gods sometimes speak through dreams. Lucius laughed. Superstitions, Metella. The gods concern themselves with more important things. But Metella believed, because women are intuitive, and her intuition was screaming, danger. The afternoon began. Pompeii was at its busiest. The forum overflowed. Politicians gave speeches, lawyers defended cases, merchants bargained. In a corner sat a fortune teller, the Sibyl, an old woman, mysterious. People came to her to learn the future. A young woman approached, Julia, 22 years old. She was pregnant, her first child. Sibyl, she said, I want to know about my baby. The Sibyl looked at her hand for a long time, silently. Then she raised her eyes. Her eyes were strange, empty yet deep. The baby, she said, the baby will not see the sun. Julia was shocked. What? Will it die? It will not see tomorrow, nor will you. But how? The Sibyl looked at the sky, at Vesuvius. The mountain is waking. The gods are angry. The end is coming. Julia began to cry. No, no, please. But the Sibyl closed her eyes. She was finished speaking. Julia ran. She fled. Crazy woman, she told herself. But she was afraid, because the Sibyl was never wrong. It was around 2 in the afternoon. The sun was still high, and the first sign came. A small tremor, a light earthquake, common in Pompeii. The region was seismic, but this time it was different. Buildings shook slightly. People stopped. They looked around. An earthquake, said someone. Yes, but small. It lasted a few seconds. Then it stopped. Everyone laughed. It's over, no problem. But Lucius was worried because he remembered. 17 years earlier, AD 62, there had been a great earthquake. Pompeii had been damaged. They had repaired it for years. Was another one coming? In the forum, someone shouted, "The gods are angry. We must offer a sacrifice." Others joined in. Yes, let's go to the temple. The crowd walked to the temple of Jupiter, a great temple, marble columns, a giant statue, Jupiter, king of the gods. A priest came out. Remain calm, citizens. We will pray to the gods. Everything will be set right. A bull was brought. It would be sacrificed. The priest took the knife. He prayed, "Mighty Jupiter, have mercy on us. Calm your anger. Protect Pompeii." The knife fell. The bull died. Its blood flowed onto the altar. The crowd applauded. Praise be to Jupiter. But Jupiter would not save them, because this was beyond Jupiter's power. This was the work of Vulcan, god of fire, and he showed no mercy. Quintus was at home. He was restless. The earthquake had frightened him. "Mater," he said to his mother, "we must leave the city." "Why, my son?" "The earthquake, my dream, everything, something bad will happen." Metella hugged him. "Don't worry, we are here, we are safe." But she herself was doubtful, because the air had changed. It had become strange. The birds, normally there were many birds in Pompeii, seagulls, pigeons, but now there were none. They had all flown away. Where? No one knew. The dogs were restless. They barked for no reason. Their owners could not calm them. The horses were tense. They stamped in the stables. Animals knew. They always did. But humans did not listen. Sunset was approaching. The sky turned red, orange, purple. It was a beautiful sunset. People watched. They admired it. But the light coming behind Vesuvius was strange, too red, as if the mountain was giving off its own light. Publius, the potter, was closing his shop. He was tired, but happy, because the vases were ready. Marcus Holconius would come tomorrow. He would see them. He would pay. And then he would speak with Tertia. He would pay the dowry. They would marry. Dreams, beautiful dreams. He left the shop. The street was quiet, the quiet of evening. He walked home, a small house, modest but enough. Tomorrow, he said to himself, tomorrow everything will change. He was right, but not in the way he imagined. Evening came. Families gathered. Cena, the evening meal, was the most important meal of the day. In Lucius's villa, the table was prepared. The triclinium, the dining room, couches. They ate reclining, the Roman way. Metella, Lucius, Quintus, and 2 guests, Gaius, Lucius's friend, and his wife, Claudia. Slaves brought the food, gustaccio, appetizers, olives, eggs, salad. Then prima mensa, the main course, lamb, fish, vegetables, bread. And secunda mensa, dessert, cake, fruit, honey. Wine flowed, conversations began. Gaius, said Lucius, what do you think about this earthquake? Insignificant, small, it happens all the time. But what if it repeats? And if it does, Pompeii is strong, our buildings are solid, there's nothing to fear. Claudia intervened. But they say the fortune-teller Sybil has been saying terrible things. Sybil, Gaius laughed. She's crazy, mad, superstitious. Don't take what she says seriously. But Metella took it seriously, because women knew. They had intuition. Quintus ate quietly. He had no appetite. His stomach felt uneasy. He didn't know why. The meal ended. The guests left. The family prepared for bed. "Good night, Pater," said Quintus. "Good night, my son. May your dreams be beautiful." But his dreams would not be beautiful, because tomorrow no one would be left to dream. On the other side of the city, in the poor quarter, in a small house, a family was gathered. Sextus, the old man from the baths, was sitting with his grandson, Felix. Felix was 8 years old, curious, lively. "Grandfather," he said, "tell me a story." "What kind of story?" "About heroes, wars." Sextus smiled. "All right, I'll tell you about Hector, the hero of Troy." And he told it, an old tale, Hector and Achilles, honor and death. Felix listened. His eyes were shining. "One day I will be a hero too," he said. "You will be, my son, I'm sure." But Felix would not be a hero, because tomorrow he would still be only 8 years old, and he would die. But now he was happy. He was dreaming, and that was enough. In the amphitheater, the gladiators were lying down. Tomorrow they would fight. They needed rest. Titus, the champion, lay in his bed, but he could not sleep. He was thinking. 40 fights, 36 victories, a good record, but was it enough? Maybe he could earn his freedom. Rudis, the wooden sword, the symbol of freedom. If you won enough, they would give it. Maybe it was close. Maybe a few more fights. And then what would he do? He didn't know. He knew nothing but being a gladiator. But he would be free, and that mattered more than anything. He closed his eyes, tried to sleep, and he slept deeply, peacefully. It would be his last peaceful sleep. The night was quiet. Pompeii was sleeping. The moon was shining. The stars were thousands. There was no light pollution then. The sky was magnificent. The streets were empty. Only a few guards were walking. And dogs, stray dogs. But the dogs were restless. They were not barking. They were only whimpering, low, sorrowful sounds. They were looking at Vesuvius and whimpering. The mountain was dark, silent, but inside, hell was boiling. Magma was rising. It had been accumulating for centuries. The pressure was immense, and it could no longer endure it. Very soon it would erupt. It would be one of the deadliest eruptions in history. But Pompeii was sleeping. It did not know. It was not dreaming. This was the final sleep, a peaceful sleep, the last rest before eternal sleep. Lucius dreamed. It was a strange dream. The sea, a ship, a storm, waves, and a voice shouting, "Run, run before it's too late." He woke up. He was sweating. His heart was pounding. He looked around the room. Everything was normal, quiet, peaceful. Just a dream, he told himself. Just a dream. He lay down again, closed his eyes. But he was uneasy, because the dream had felt very real. Metella was sleeping beside him, peaceful. Her breathing was steady. Lucius held her hand. It was warm, alive. "I love you," he whispered. He made no sound. He only thought it, and he fell asleep again. It was the last time they slept together. Quintus was dreaming too, the same dream again. The mountain, Vesuvius, its mouth opening, and from inside, fire, ash, stone, the sky darkening, the sun disappearing, people running, screams, chaos, and he, Quintus, cannot run. His feet are frozen. He cannot move. "Mother, father," but there is no answer, only darkness. He woke up, gasping, tears on his cheeks. He looked around his room. Moonlight was coming through the window. Everything was quiet. Just a dream, another dream. But inside he knew this was not just a dream. It was a warning. He got out of bed, went to the window, looked outside. He saw Vesuvius, a dark silhouette in the moonlight. And in that moment, that single moment, it felt as if the mountain was looking back at him, as if it were alive, as if it had consciousness, and it was sending a message. Too late. It is already too late. Quintus trembled. It was not cold, but he trembled. He returned to his bed, wrapped himself in the blanket, closed his eyes, and waited. He waited for morning. But when morning came, everything would already be over. August 24, AD 79. Morning. The last morning. The sun rose again. Golden light caressed Pompeii. A rooster crowed. Dogs barked. The city awoke. Lucius got up. He was tired. He had slept poorly, but he rose. There were tasks for the day. He needed to go to the forum. Marcus, his slave, prepared breakfast: bread, honey, milk. "Lucius," said Lucius, "I feel strange today." "How strange, sir?" "I don't know. As if something is going to happen." "Something bad?" "I don't know. I hope not." He ate breakfast quickly, put on his toga, prepared to leave. Metella stopped him. "Lucius, can you stay today, at home?" "Why?" "Please, I need you." Lucius looked at her. There was worry in her eyes. There was fear. "All right," he said. "I'll stay. I'll work from home today." Metella relaxed. "Thank you." But it would not matter, because they would not be safe at home either. No place would be safe. Publius rose early. He was excited. Today, Marcus Volcanius would come. He would look at the vases. He ran to his shop, opened the door, went inside. The vases were there. They were beautiful, his best work. Animals, gods, mythological scenes, colorful, detailed. "Perfect," he said to himself. "He'll like them. He will definitely like them." He cleaned them, polished them, arranged them. Then he waited, impatiently. Volcanius had said he would come around noon. There were a few hours. Publius began to work. A new vase. He spun the wheel. His hands shaped the clay. Calm, rhythmic. He loved this work. It brought peace. And he thought of Tertia, beautiful Tertia. They would marry. They would be happy. Dreams, sweet dreams. He did not know. In a few hours, his shop would be ash, and he would be too. Titus did not wake up, because no one woke him. The fight had been canceled. Why? He did not know, but he was happy, because he was tired. He needed rest. He stayed in bed, comfortable, warm, and he thought about his life, his fights, his future. He would be free one day, certainly. What would he do? Maybe a farmer, a simple, peaceful life. Maybe he would marry, have children. Beautiful thoughts, comforting. His eyes closed. He fell asleep again. And he never woke up. Because while he slept, the volcano erupted, and ash came. It filled the amphitheater. It buried Titus. He did not suffer. He died in his sleep, in his dream, perhaps the best way. It was around 10 o'clock, maybe 11. It is not known exactly. But at that moment, that critical moment, Vesuvius awakened. Magma was rising rapidly. The pressure was unbearable. And then, in a single second, everything changed. The eruption. The sound was incredible. 100 times thunder, 1,000 times. Everyone in Pompeii heard it. They were shocked. They froze. What happened? What is that sound? They looked at Vesuvius, all of them, thousands of eyes, and they saw it. The top of the mountain had exploded, literally exploded. A cloud was rising, a massive cloud, ash, stone, gas, up, 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 into the sky, for kilometers. Its shape was strange, like a mushroom or a pine tree, an Italian pine. Pliny the Younger, the young writer who was in Misenum that day, far away, would later write, "The cloud was like a pine tree. The trunk was high, the top spread out, white, sometimes dirty, depending on the earth and ash it carried." But the people of Pompeii were not writing. They were watching, in shock. A few seconds of silence, total silence. Then panic. "Run! The gods are angry! The mountain has erupted!" Chaos began. People started running in every direction, aimlessly. The forum was crowded, thousands of people, all in panic. Some ran to the temples. "Jupiter, protect us!" Some ran to their homes to get their families. Some ran to the city gates to escape. Lucius was in his villa. He saw the eruption from the window. "Metella, Quintus," he shouted, "come here, now!" They came, running, terrified. "What is happening?" Metella asked. "Vesuvius has erupted. We must flee immediately." "Where?" "To the shore, a ship, to Rome, anywhere." They prepared quickly. Clothes, money, jewelry, only what was necessary. Marcus, his slave, was with them. "Sir, may I come too?" "Of course, Marcus. You are family as well." The four of them went outside, into the street. There was chaos, people running, screams, crying. Carts blocked the roads. Horses were going mad, kicking, neighing. "Hold hands," Lucius shouted. "Don't lose each other." They moved forward, slowly, with difficulty. The crowd was suffocating. Publius was in his shop. He heard the eruption. He ran outside. He saw the cloud, the massive dark cloud. "My gods," he whispered. The vases, Volcanius, the money, Tertia, the marriage, all forgotten, instantly, because life mattered, only life. He started running toward Tertia's house. He had to get her. The streets were full. He moved with difficulty. He reached Tertia's house. He knocked on the door hard. "Tertia, Tertia, open!" The door opened. Tertia was there. Her eyes were wide. She was terrified. "Publius, what's happening?" "The mountain erupted. We must flee. Come with me, now." "But my family?" "They come too, all of you, but now." Tertia's family, mother, father, 2 siblings, prepared, quickly, and together they ran toward the shore. 15 minutes had passed after the explosion. Maybe 20. The cloud grew. It grew even more. It was covering the sky. It was hiding the sun. Darkness fell. It was daytime, but it felt like night. And then it began. Ash rain. At first it was light, white ash, like snow, gentle, silent. People were confused. Snow in August? But it wasn't snow. It was ash, volcanic ash. It fell on their hands, their faces. It was warm, and it smelled, the smell of sulfur. Then it thickened, more. Heavy ash was falling. It was covering everything. The ground turned white. The roofs turned white. Everything was white. But it wasn't a clean white. It was a dirty, suffocating white. People began to cough. Breathing was difficult. The ash had mixed into the air. Cloths, pieces of fabric, were pressed over mouths, but it wasn't enough. Lucius and his family were reaching the shore, slowly. The crowd was huge. Ash was falling. It covered their clothes, their hair, everywhere. Quintus was coughing. He couldn't stop. "Hold on, my son. Just a little more. We'll reach the ship." But they didn't reach it, because there was chaos at the harbor. Hundreds of people were trying to find ships, but there were few ships, too many people. Some boats were leaving, not even half full. The captains were not turning back to take people. "Please," people were shouting, "take us too." But there was no answer, only the sound of oars, ships moving away. Lucius saw a boat, a small fishing boat. "There!" he shouted. They ran, but others had seen it too. 20 people rushed at the same time. A fight broke out, pushing, pulling. The boat capsized, it sank, and no one was saved. Publius and Tertius' family had also reached the harbor, but it was hopeless. "There are no ships," said Tertius' father. "They're all gone." "Then what will we do?" Tertia asked. "We'll escape by land, to Naples. We'll walk. But it's very far." "There is no other option." They turned and headed toward the city gate, together with the crowd. But the ash was getting thicker. The ground became slippery. Walking became difficult. Tertia stumbled. She fell. Publius was right beside her. He lifted her. "Are you okay?" "Yes, I'm scared." "Me too, but together. We'll always be together." They held hands tightly and continued. It was around 2 o'clock. 2 or 3 hours had passed since the explosion. Ash was still falling, but something else began. Stones, pumice, volcanic stones, light, porous, but hard. Small stones at first, the size of hazelnuts, then walnuts, then eggs. They were raining from the sky, thousands, hundreds of thousands. They were hitting people's heads. It hurt. Some were injured. Some fainted. Buildings were being damaged. Roof tiles were breaking. People searched for shelter. They ran into houses, into shops. But even inside it wasn't safe, because the stones were piling up, becoming heavy. Roofs began to collapse, slowly, then suddenly. People were trapped underneath, crushed. Screams rose. "Help! I'm trapped!" But no one could help. Everyone was fighting for their own life. Lucius and his family had taken shelter in a building, a large house. It looked strong. There were other people inside too, 20, maybe 30. All of them were terrified, shaking, praying. "Jupiter, protect us. May the gods have mercy." Outside, stones were hitting the wall. Tap, tap, tap. Non-stop, rhythmic, but terrifying. Quintus clung to his mother. "Mater, are we going to die?" Metella didn't know what to answer. She didn't want to lie, but she didn't want to frighten him. "No, my sweet," she said. "We will live. The gods will protect us." But she didn't believe it herself. Lucius looked out the window. Outside was hell. Ash, stones, darkness. Nothing could be seen. "How long will this last?" someone asked. "I don't know. Maybe hours. Maybe days." "Days? But there is no food, no water." "I know. May the gods help us." Time passed slowly, painfully. The stone rain continued. The accumulation rose. 10 centimeters, 20, 50. The streets filled. First-floor windows were covered. Publius and Tertia's family were stuck at the city gate. Thousands of people were trying to leave at the same time. There was no capacity. The congestion was terrible. People were being crushed. Children were crying. The elderly were falling. "Move forward! Move forward!" someone was shouting. But there was nowhere to move. Tertia couldn't breathe. The crowd was too tight. "Publius, I can't. Hold on, just a little more." But she couldn't hold on. She collapsed unconscious. Publius screamed, "Help, please!" Tertia's father helped. The two of them lifted her. They pulled her out of the crowd. They leaned her against a wall. "Tertia, Tertia, open your eyes." She opened them slowly. "Publius, I'm here. I'm with you. I'm scared." "Me too. But together, we will always be together. I promise." They embraced, tightly, as if for the last time. And almost it was. It was around 4 in the afternoon. 6 hours had passed since the eruption. There were still thousands of people in Pompeii. Some were hiding in buildings. Some were trying to escape. Some had given up and were waiting. The ash accumulation had exceeded 1 meter. The stone rain was continuing. And then a new disaster. The second eruption, stronger. The magma column inside Vesuvius collapsed. The pressure exploded, and the pyroclastic flow began. A mixture of hot gas, ash, and stone, 400 degrees, a speed of 700 kilometers per hour. It descended from the mountain. It moved like a flow, but through the air, like a cloud, but deadly. It destroyed everything, instantly. The first flow reached Herculaneum, the city north of Pompeii. It was closer to Vesuvius. People had gathered on the shore. They were waiting for ships, hoping to be rescued. But no ships came, and the pyroclastic flow arrived. Within seconds, they all died. The heat was so intense that their brains boiled, their skulls burst, but they did not suffer because it was so fast. Bodies froze in their positions. Some were embracing, some were running, some were protecting their children. When they were discovered later, in the 1980s, archaeologists cried because the positions were so human, so tragic. The pyroclastic flow had not yet reached Pompeii, but it was coming, slowly, inevitably. In the building where Lucius had taken shelter, people were uneasy. "How much longer?" someone asked. "Maybe it's near the end," another said. "Maybe the worst has passed." But it hadn't. It was only beginning. The building made cracking sounds. The stone accumulation was too heavy. The roof couldn't hold. "We must go outside," said Lucius, "before it collapses." "But outside is dangerous. This place is more dangerous." He made his decision. He took his family. They headed for the door. The others hesitated. Some would stay. Some would leave. Lucius, Metella, Quintus, and Marcus went outside. The ash was up to their knees. Walking was extremely difficult. Every step was a struggle. Stones were still falling. They covered their heads with their hands. "Where are we going?" Quintus asked. "I don't know," Lucius said. "Just forward, toward life." They took a few steps, 10 steps, 20, and then a sound came from behind them, a thunderous crash. They turned. They looked. The building had collapsed completely. Those who had stayed inside, 20 people, all died instantly under the rubble. Metella began to cry, "My God! My God!" But Lucius pulled her. "Walk, don't stop, or we will die too." They continued, with difficulty, but they continued.
Night fell, but it was already dark. The ash cloud had covered the sun. The hour was unclear, maybe 7, maybe 8. No one knew. Pompeii had grown quiet. The screams had faded because most people were dead or too exhausted to speak. There was only the sound of the wind and the sound of falling stones. Tap, tap, tap. Lucius and his family had taken shelter in another building, smaller, but it seemed stronger. There were other people inside as well, but they were not speaking. Everyone was exhausted, silent. It was dark. There was no light at all, no torches. They hadn't brought any. Only sounds could be heard, breathing, coughing, crying. Quintus lay in his mother's arms. "Mater, can I sleep?" "You can sleep, my sweet." "But I'm scared." "I'm here. Your father is here. You don't need to be afraid." Quintus closed his eyes. He was tired, very tired, and he fell asleep, a deep sleep, an innocent sleep. Metella stroked his hair. Tears fell, silently. Lucius held her hand tightly. "Metella." "I know, Lucius, I know." Words were unnecessary. They knew everything. This could be the end. Most likely it was the end. But together, at least together. Publius and Tertia were beside the city wall. They had not been able to get out. The crowd had been too great. Now only the two of them remained. Tertia's family, they had been lost in the chaos. They didn't know where they were. "We need to find them," Tertia said. "In the morning," Publius said, "there will be light then. We'll search." "But what if—" "Shh, morning." They sat at the base of a wall, in the darkness, in the cold. Tertia was shivering. Publius embraced her. He tried to warm her. "Publius," Tertia said, "do you love me?" "More than anything. You are the meaning of my life." "I love you too. I will always love you." "So will I, until death, and after death." They kissed, gently, sad, but beautiful. It was the last kiss, but the most meaningful one.
August 25th. Morning. But it did not feel like morning. Darkness continued. The sky was black. The ash cloud was still there. 18 hours had passed since the eruption. There were still a few thousand people in Pompeii, alive, but on the edge of death. The ash accumulation had exceeded 2 meters. The first floor was completely buried. The stone rain had slowed, but it had not stopped. And at 7 in the morning, the 6th pyroclastic flow arrived. The last one, the deadliest. It descended from Vesuvius rapidly, swallowing everything. It reached Pompeii within seconds. Lucius was sleeping. Beside him, Metella, Quintus, Marcus. They had all fallen asleep from exhaustion, and while they slept, the pyroclastic flow arrived. It passed through the building walls, through doors, windows, cracks. Hot, deadly gas. Lucius tried to open his eyes, but he could not. He tried to breathe, but he could not. 1 second, 2 seconds, and it was over. There was no pain, no fear, just the end. Lucius, Metella, Quintus, Marcus, they died together at the same time in the same place. The family remained a family to the very end. Publius and Tertia were sitting by the wall, embraced, holding each other. The pyroclastic flow arrived. It found them too. Tertia tried to breathe. Publius, I'm here. I'm always here. Aren't you afraid? No, because I'm with you. I'm with you too. The last breath, both together. Their hands were still holding each other, even after death. When they were found later, the archaeologists did not separate them. They left them together, because separating them would have been wrong. Love is stronger than death, sometimes. Titus, the gladiator, was sleeping in the amphitheater. Still, the pyroclastic flow arrived. It found him too, but he did not wake. The passage was gentle. From sleep to death, there was no difference. Perhaps he was dreaming, a dream of freedom. The rudis, the wooden sword. The crowd was applauding. Titus, champion Titus. And he was free, finally free. But it was a different kind of freedom, eternal freedom. Noon came, August 25. Pompeii was silent, completely. No screams, no movement, no life. Only ash, stone, death. 2,000 people died in the city. The others, those who escaped, lived, but the trauma remained forever. Vesuvius slowed. The eruption weakened, but it did not stop completely. It lasted for days. Ash covered Campania. It reached Naples, even Rome. Emperor Titus, coincidentally the same name, sent aid, but it was too late, because Pompeii was dead, completely. Years passed, decades, centuries. Pompeii was forgotten, lost, under ash, under soil, under time. Nature returned. Trees grew. Grass covered everything. The city disappeared entirely. Only legends remained. Once there was a great city here, but no one knew where or how. Until 1748. That year, by chance, a farmer was digging for a well, and he found something, a wall, a mosaic, ancient. The news spread. Archaeologists came. They began to dig, and Pompeii was reborn. The excavations were slow. They took years, but the results were incredible. The city was perfectly preserved. The ash had acted as protection. There was no air, no decay. Buildings were standing. Frescoes were bright. Mosaics were intact. And the people. They were no longer bodies. The flesh had decayed, but the ash had formed molds. Archaeologists poured plaster into the voids, and statues emerged. People, frozen in their final moments. A man had died lying down, peaceful as if sleeping. A woman, protecting her child, curled over them until the last moment. Two people, embracing, their hands holding each other. A dog, chained, unable to escape. It had suffered. Each one was a story, a tragic story, and the world saw, was shocked, cried, because Pompeii was not just an ancient city, it was a time capsule, a monument to humanity. Those people who died in the year 79 were like us, the same joys, the same fears, the same hopes. They loved, they laughed, they dreamed, and in one day, in one morning, they all disappeared. Today, Pompeii is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Millions visit every year. They walk its streets, they look into its houses, they study the frescoes, and they feel it, that terrible day, those final moments. Vesuvius is still there, still active, sleeping but not dead. Scientists monitor it constantly because one day it may erupt again, and Naples, a modern city, stands right beside it, 3 million people. If Vesuvius erupts, history could repeat itself. But we hope not. We hope humanity has learned its lesson. Pompeii's message is simple. Life is fragile. The moment is precious. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. Only today is certain. Those people, Lucius, Metella, Quintus, Publius, Tertia, Titus, were living normal lives, making plans, thinking about the future. And one morning, everything ended. We are the same. We do not know what tomorrow will bring. Maybe a volcano, maybe another disaster, maybe simply time. But we all have an end. So Pompeii's lesson is this: live, live now. Tell the people you love that you love them. Say it today. Chase your dreams, not tomorrow, today. Forgive, laugh, dance, because you do not know. Today may be the last day. In Pompeii, an inscription was found on a wall. Graffiti, simple Latin, Carpe diem, seize the day. Perhaps it was the oldest version of that slogan. Maybe a young person wrote it, just for fun. We do not know who wrote it or why, but the message remained 2,000 years later, and it is still valid. Carpe diem, seize the day, because the moment is everything. Close your eyes now. Lie comfortably. Think of Pompeii, that beautiful city, that tragic day. But do not be sad, because they are at peace, under ash, under earth, but at peace. Their pain is over, their struggle is over, only rest remains, eternal rest. And you now are here, alive, breathing. Tomorrow you will wake up, you will see a new day, new opportunities. But remember Pompeii. Remember Lucius, the businessman, father, husband. Remember Metella, the mother, wife, intuitive woman. Remember Quintus, young, full of dreams. Remember Publius and Tertia, lovers, together forever. Remember Titus, the warrior, searching for freedom. Remember them all, because they are us, and we are them. Humanity does not change, only time does. May your sleep be peaceful. You may see Pompeii in your dreams, but not frightening, beautiful. Sunlit streets, laughter, people in the forum, life. Because Pompeii is not only death, it is also life. Thousands of years of life, love, joy. One day everything ended, but until that day they lived fully, and that full life is what matters. Good night. You will wake up tomorrow. A new day will begin. Live it fully, for Pompeii and for yourself. Carpe diem.